It seems pretty clear at this point that AI is real and here to stay. So today we're going to be covering a number of companies that are best positioned to benefit from AI, and many of these companies already have been. Now, of course, I can't cover every stock and company I like that deals with AI. I've done a number of videos on this channel already covering different companies on it, but today we're going to dive right into ASML. Now, ASML does indirect AI stuff. They provide a lot of the machines that TSM and Samsung use, and then they provide chips and basically the blueprint that NVIDIA uses to make the advanced AI software. And you may say, okay, well, that doesn't sound that interesting. Why would I want that? Well, ASML, basically, if you do some research on their machines, they hold an insane competitive advantage over everyone and basically have a monopoly on all these, I think, lithography machines, lots of stuff, and basically no one understands how it works. Just Google something like ASML machines if you're curious, but they have a huge competitive advantage. They've done well over the last 5 years, up 140%, although they're basically half from where they were. They peaked at around 1,100. Now they're at 713, so it's a decent buy, although they still have a fairly high PE. They're always going to demand a high PE because they're just have such a competitive edge. 28.3 forward PE, so you are slightly above the S&P 500, but you've also outperformed it. The S&P 500 is up about 100% over the last 5 years. It's closer to 90, but that's roughly. Also, the dividend's about the same. I like ASML, huge competitive advantage. If you're curious more on it, I did a video specifically on it, but I really like ASML, and I took a pretty large position in this area. So KLA is similar. They do also machines, TSM and Samsung, which then give to NVIDIA. They do similar stuff, albeit different. They're a little bit cheaper and have performed slightly better, actually. Up 5 years, or over the last 5 years, up 260%. That's basically 3xing the S&P 500. Still pay a solid dividend. This is another extremely solid company. I'm not going to dive too much into it. Let's look at forward PE real quick. It's important to understand. Okay, they are below the S&P 500 in both PE and forward PE. So this is a company that is cheap and has performed incredibly well and is crucial for AI. I really like KLA. Really like ASML, KLA, AMAT, and LAM. All those are very good companies that provide directly to TSM and all the other chip makers. Now, NVIDIA is the real big boy, isn't it? 2,200%. That is just pretty incredible over the last 5 years. Many of you probably own NVIDIA or are interested in, if you're interested in AI at all, you know about NVIDIA. It would be, I try not to cover it in every AI video, but I feel stupid leaving them out in AI videos because they're one of the key pieces of it. Now you could say AMD might be able to catch up slightly, even get 5 to 10% market share. That would be pretty decent for them. But NVIDIA at this point is, everything flows through them. They own, if you're a big fan of Dune, they own Arrakis, they own the spice, they have the spice, and they distribute it to everyone. That's why they have insane margins. That's why they have insane growth. This is not a quote-unquote bubble. Not saying it's not overvalued at all. I mean, there's an argument for that, but it's backed by earnings because their profit, 32 forward PE, that's like not that much. That's like, so the S&P 500 forward PE is 20, forward PE is 23. So they're like, what, 50% more expensive than the S&P 500, and they're up 2,000% over the last 5 years. They are killing it, and it's matched by actual profit, actual earnings. NVIDIA is going to do fine in the AI race. They already basically won it, and they're just riding it out at this point. As long as they can keep up, and they're just going to keep getting better and better. Everyone's going to have to replace the AI chips they have within the next 1 or 2 years. That's just how these things work. Things become outdated very quickly, especially when you're on a very tippity top of the technological edge. So NVIDIA, I don't see any issue with them going forward personally. Broadcom is the next one. They've done very well. You may say it doesn't look that well compared to NVIDIA, and that's true, but almost no one does. So up 660% over the last 5 years, phenomenal. I made a video on it right around here. You can check the dates if you want to. I said Broadcom, if you're looking for a high growth stock, they really aren't a bad buy, and it popped after earnings like another 20%. Someone said they made money on the video. I don't recommend you to buy any of these. I'm just opening, hey, this is a thing that exists. So if you make money, credit me, and if you don't, if you lose money, do the opposite. That's a complete joke. I don't take credit for any of it. I just talk about stocks. So you may say 180 PE is crazy. Forward PE is 38. So you're still basically just under double the S&P 500. forward PE. So it's a lot. But if you keep growing at the rate they have, it's not crazy expensive. That's what you got to play into with the extreme growth stocks. You have to make the bet, okay, is this a stock that's going to keep growing at the rate they are? Because if these higher PE stocks start growing like normal companies or slow down dramatically, you're going to see a fall in PE to match that. But if they keep growing at the rate they are, you're going to make your money back very quickly, because when you're growing at 20%, compound that versus 10, it's going to be a lot. So things like Broadcom, Nvidia, if they keep growing at the rates they are, there's really no worry on it. So, and then lastly, Alphabet, Google. I assume most of you Google things. They kind of have a dominance on, or a monopoly, pseudo-monopoly. I think some places are arguing they do have a monopoly, but that's a different story. I think that was why it dropped here. They had some suit come out, whatever, doesn't matter. But they are integrating AI into search. It works not perfectly. I got frustrated with it the other day, but it works pretty well. You could even argue very well. So Google is well positioned. They know that if everyone could just go on their phone and just cut them out with the AI, that they're basically defunct, or a lot of their business model is. So they're pouring heavily into AI, and you would expect them to be at the front with it. Now, this goes for a lot of other companies, Meta, Apple, Microsoft, I almost said Google. Those three, Mag 7 as well, are trying to implement AI heavily. Those are all decent plays, and I wouldn't mind owning a lot of those. If you own ETFs, S&P 500, stuff like that, you already have a lot of exposure to them. But I think these stocks, the companies actually investing in AI, eventually they're going to see profits from it, and some of them it's going to be extreme. So that's all I got for this video. I don't want it to keep going too much longer. I'm also starting to get out of breath and trip over myself. But if you enjoyed, I appreciate if you like or subscribe. I do daily stock content on this channel. I do value, dividend, all sorts of stocks. So if you enjoyed, I appreciate it if you stuck around. But I appreciate all of you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.